up, guys? It is John Muscarella from Side Hustle Experiment. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm a six-figure Amazon seller. I also sell on eBay, books, and used media, and I'm really getting heavily into online arbitrage. On this channel, we talk everything about how you can make money on Amazon and eBay. So if you're into that, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me, and like the video. In today's video, I am answering a question from an Instagram follower. I asked, what are you struggling with the most right now in your business? And they said, time between family and business. This is a very tough topic to cover. I'm probably not the best person to be answering this question because I am one to do things to extreme and like be head down and only do business and not kind of balance out the family part. I personally do not have a family. I do not have kids. I have parents and sister and a niece. I have a girlfriend. I have a dog. So I have a different version. I have friends. I have a different version of family, I guess. So I'll kind of talk to some of the mistakes I guess I've made. That's kind of how I learned these kind of things that I'm doing. So I'm going to give you about 4 or 5 things that you could do to almost get your mind right and kind of tackle this. So I would say before I even get into this, I would say balance is kind of a lie. In my opinion, there really is no balance. I mean, yes, you could balance. Oh, I'm only going to work 2 hours, or I'm only going to work these days or that days, and that's fine if you want to just do it on the side or it's just a hobby. But if you really want to take this full time, like being realistic and doing it full time, like it's going to take you more time than just, oh, I'm only going to work like how I do a 9 to 5. While that is possible later on once you have things in place, before getting things into place, it's going to be really hard for you. So I would say number one, one of the things that you have to do is get your family on board. Um, Talk to them, have a conversation, say, hey, this is why this is important to me. I want to make this work. How can we make this work? If you have a wife and kids, or even a girlfriend, you could be like, listen, like, I'm really trying to make this work. It's going to be good for our family. Like, we're going to be able to go on extra vacations, um, or we're going to be able to pay our house off earlier, or whatever you want to do with this business. I would get them on board with that. And you have to work with them. If they're like, hey, I really need you to not work on Wednesday or Thursday or whatever it happens to be, then you got to like change your schedule around that. And that just make it work. You also, in terms like that, like you could wake up earlier. You could not go to bed till like 1 or 2 in the morning. I'm not like advising any of this and be like, oh, this is what you have to do. But I mean, there are options. So one, I would like try to get your family on board. Tell them why it's important to you. Tell them the benefits, well, how they're going to benefit from this. But you also have to hold yourself accountable for that. If you're like, hey, we're gonna go on 2 extra vacations this year, like you gotta go on 2 extra vacations. So kind of keep your, because then they won't trust you. Number two, um, try one. You could hire help if you're really struggling, if you can afford to do so. Even if it's just for me, my first hire was having someone list books. Um, and it was the best thing I did. I was like, oh well, it only takes me like 3 or 4 hours to do it, but I got 3 or 4 hours back to do other things, to grow my business or just take a little bit of a break. Um, so hire someone, even if it's just for little things. If you could only afford like 20, 30, $40, I mean, you could probably find someone to like list books for you, or maybe peel labels off of something or label stuff. Like it doesn't have to be a huge expense, or ask like family or friends for help. Get a 12 pack. Be like, hey, can you help me like label all these books? Like beers on me, like, and do that. Like that's an option. But yeah, that hire help to help you out. Um, Number three, I would say if there are ways you could like incorporate your family with the business. Now, I'm not saying you want them to work in the business or help you with the business. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, for example, when I first was doing books, and I would do it every weekend, and that's not great for my relationship because like obviously like the weekend like we both have off, like we want to hang out or whatever. So one of the things I used to do is I'd plan sourcing trips in like cool cities. So we'd go to like DC, some stuff in Maryland, uh, Philly, all that kind of stuff, and we'd make a weekend out of it. So on Friday, you we would kind of get in, have like a nice dinner at like a cool place. Saturday would basically work all day, scanning books at all these thrift stores that I mapped out. And then kind of Saturday night, we'd do something fun. And then Sunday, we'd maybe hit like a store, a couple of stores on the way home if there were. And then that was it. And while it wasn't like the best, maybe, it was a way to work. A better example would be recently I went to a conference in Miami, and my girlfriend came along. I went to the conference. She got to do what she wanted in Miami, all this fun stuff. And then we stayed, I think, 3 or 4 extra days and just hung out and had fun. So I was able to accomplish stuff for work. She was able to like relax and do whatever she wanted when I was at the conference. And then we were able to spend a couple extra days there doing something fun. Um, I would say number four, um, be okay with being almost weird or not being able to balance it. I think it's a big myth, like I was saying before, like, oh, you can bounce. Yeah, you can, but like if you don't want to bounce, like you don't have to bounce. Like if your family's cool with you working like 18 hours a day and like that's what you want to do, don't feel guilty about it. Like do it. Like again, like I'm not telling you to do this. This is hypothetical. Sometimes I feel weird, like, oh, like I'm going to the warehouse, like I'm working 12, 14 hours a day, and it's like, oh, like I'm working a lot. Uh, but I don't feel that like it's work. So like, and I don't mind it. Some other people might think I'm crazy for doing it, but like I'm kind of like trying to get things ramped up right now, and that's kind of where I'm at and what I have to do. But for me, I don't find it weird because I'm really into it. And if you really look at a lot of like super successful people, they had these years where like that's what they did. Like, and they still do that. Like, they still work a lot. Um, so don't buy into the fact that like, oh, like you're just gonna make all this like passive income and you only have to work like an hour or two. Like this is serious work. It's gonna take you a lot of work and you just have to be okay with being like, you know what? If you're enjoying it, then like who cares? Like put in the time. Um so that's what I got for that. Um and yeah, I would just say, it is hard to balance. But just do your best. That's all you can really do. That's kind of the fifth tip. Just do your best. That's all you can really do at this point. You will eventually get quicker at stuff. So it might take you less time, but if you really want to grow it, you're always going to have to put in time. So hiring someone could be another option. I hope that answered your question and helped you. Let's recap real quick. So some things you could do if you're struggling to balance your time between family and work. One, you have to get them on board with the plan. Tell them what's the benefit for them. Hey, I'm doing this so we take extra vacations. Hey, I'm doing this for XYZ. I'm doing this so both of us don't have to work a job. Get them on board with that. Number two, um, you know, try to incorporate them with the business. If you're going on a business trip, maybe you can stay an extra day or two and do something fun. Or if you're sourcing constantly, maybe you guys go to Target and Walmart, they help you out, and then in turn, like you go out to a nice dinner together. Um, Number three, just kind of like be okay with being weird, and like if you really like working, um, do it. Like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Don't be like, oh, I'm working so much. It's weird. If you enjoy doing it, don't worry about it. And number four, which was, I think, originally number two, I just went out of order, is hire help. If you can afford to do so, hire help, get some of your time back so you can hang out with your family or do whatever you want. Those are the 4 things that I recommend. Hopefully, you found it helpful. Let me know in the comments what you think. How do you balance work and family? I would love to know what you do because this is something I struggle with still. It's just, you just get better with it over time. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. And I will see you guys in the next video.